Missing in Kansas, alone, afraid, in danger. Each year, dozens of Kansas children and adults are reported missing. Like names in a database, their stories are often not heard. Every weekday on Good Morning Kansas and Cake News at 5, we're sharing the story of someone reported missing, details on their disappearance, and how you can help. Missing in Kansas, with reports every weekday, only on Cake.
Well, today we're launching Cake's new investigative series, Missing in Kansas. Cake's Annette Lawless looks at cases that need to be solved. Ark City Police are hoping that you can help them find Quentin Bailey Rauch. He's 20 years old and was last seen on May 9th. Quentin is 6'2" with brown hair and blue eyes. He weighs about 150 pounds. Police believe he could be in Ark City, Winfield, or even in Ponca City in Oklahoma. I've been speaking with police departments in Kansas and Oklahoma who say that family, they are just hoping to bring Quentin home. To see the full story on the search for Quentin Rauch, head over to our website at cake.com. Now, we're hoping that you all can help us share this story as well to bring him home. If you have information on his whereabouts, go ahead and call Ponca City Police at 580-767-0370. Missing in Kansas, a Kansas mom is holding out hope for a clue in the case of her boy. Jeremy Coots was 4 years old in 1977. He went out to play with another child in Atchison, only never to be seen or heard from again.
My name is Melody Hathaway. I am Jeremy Coots' mother. February 18th, 1977, it was supposed to be a blizzard. It turned out to be 60 degrees.
A gorgeous winter day. Jeremy Coots had his babysitters playing with her son outside. Then, at some point, Jeremy is in a wooded area heading toward the Missouri River Bluffs.
She ran out and she started screaming and yelling. She thought, my gosh, what if his hearing aid had been knocked off?
A call on the CB radio helped find a deaf boy lost on Potato Hill. Jeremy's dad rushed to help find his son.
He said, don't worry about it, Melody. It's 3 o'clock now. Go finish your other 2 hours. Come home at 5 and Jeremy and I will be there waiting for you. And I said, I'll be right there. And that was where the nightmare began.
The search turned to hours and then days. The Kansas National Guard among hundreds scouring the woods.
We waited and waited and waited, and we still don't have closure. I don't know. I'm a mom, so part of me wants him to be alive, you know? Maybe somebody did, on the railroad, did get him. And, you know, maybe he is somewhere.
A few years ago, investigators created this age progression photo of what Jeremy would look like at 42 years old. As of October 30th, Jeremy will be 46 years old. Detectives continue to get hits on this case, though none are Jeremy.
I can touch him through this. And I can hold it up here. That's what it means to me.
To this day, Jeremy's mom keeps mementos close, like this worn-out Raggedy Andy doll that Jeremy loved. She clutches onto it, much like her faith, praying for a miracle, or at least some closure before she dies.
A mother's love is pretty strong, and we'll cling on to anything, anything. So that's the part that wants him to be alive. You know, he's a man now, and he just doesn't know how to find us. Somebody could have taken him and could have told him whatever story. And I like to think of that instead of him being in the Missouri River. That's a hard one. It's a real hard one.
The Kansas Department of Children and Families has been under a microscope by lawmakers.
After a number of botched investigations and a recent class action lawsuit, a special task force has been set up to try and fix the agency. Cake's Annette Lawless investigates the allegations against DCF and its impact on kids missing in Kansas.
The nonprofit Kansas Appleseed is speaking up for 10 children they say the foster care system failed. One girl was allegedly raped in a child welfare agency office. Another boy had been moved to 130 foster homes in 6 years. As this lawsuit shows us, several kids at some point run away. Broken system, extreme housing disruption. Words used to describe what 10 children face in a class action lawsuit against DCF. The department has about 7,600 kids in foster care.
They just give up. They don't think anybody cares about them, so they don't have any need to stay where they have no control over their settings.
Attorneys like Lori Burns-Bucklew and Larry Root fighting for children in foster care. The lawsuit claims DCF is neglecting kids, leaving them virtually homeless and without proper mental health care.
PTSD for kids in foster care has been found to be as much as that for soldiers in battle.
And though the Department for Children and Families cannot comment on pending litigation, they say while there are some problems with the system, they are making great strides this year compared to last and with other agencies in the state. This year, DCF says there's been a 27% decrease in the number of missing and runaway youth in Kansas foster care. Some people may say, yeah, well, the numbers may have improved, but there's still a problem. Do you agree with that at all?
Of course. There's a problem when kids run away, whether they're our kids or kids that aren't in foster care, right? I mean, no one wants kids out there on the streets.
Yet DCF is celebrating victories, like a sweep in November where federal, state, and local law enforcement offices found 18 runaways. Also, the department has hired 2 special agents who solely work on finding missing kids, something it says is rare across the country. The lawyers hope that with a new governor and other lawmakers preparing to take office, there will also be changes in policies, like reducing short-term stays, better training for foster families, and preventing runaways. Any improvements for kids who were initially pulled from their homes, where they were exposed to drugs, domestic violence, or child abuse.
They've given up. They've become depressed. They become anxious. They believe, they see one social worker, then another, and it becomes hopeless for them.
DCF says children who were found in the recent sweep will now go through assessments to find a safe and comfortable place for them. Also, DCF is testing a program in Kansas City pairing chronic runaways with mentors so they'll have another person in their corner. They plan to bring that program to Wichita soon. A mystery for nearly 25 years. Rachel Pratt is a bright and beautiful teenager who disappeared in January of 1995. She spent the evening with family and then went missing hours later. And though so much time has passed for her family, they're hoping someone has answers that will end their heartache. It's today's Missing in Kansas cold case.
Class pictures, 167. And it was really real pretty, but it must be in the other book.
As she flips through her daughter's yearbook, Jan Ramirez can't help but wonder what life would be like. January 16, 1995. Her daughter Rachel came home from a high school band concert. The family watched a movie and went to sleep. Her sister Lane, who was 3 at the time, was the last to see her.
I had woke up in the middle of the night or something and I was thirsty, and I remember she got me a drink and she walked me back to bed.
She left behind belongings in her family's Garden City home, never to be heard from again.
My fear is that maybe she took to some big city, and I mean, she was only 15 and it was the dead of winter. Yeah. And you know, how do you survive like that? You know, I'm sorry, but you know, she was so young. She was so young. That's her and her sister when they were little. You know, they are acting goofy at a birthday party.
The oldest of 8 kids, a model student and athlete, then the unexpected. Rachel was pregnant. She said a boy in high school was the father. He was 18 and faced criminal charges, which were dropped after Rachel vanished. Her family feels police brushed off the case until they started putting up flyers and pressing for answers.
That's the part that I don't get, is because I see all these other kids that go missing that are 15, 16, 17, and everyone's up in arms over it. They all go find her. Mm-hmm. And then for whatever reason, it's like they didn't care. No one cared that Rachel went missing.
This is what she looked like then at 15. She was 5'7" with brown hair and brown eyes. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children created this age-progressed photo of what Rachel may look like at 20, 30, and 35. Rachel will turn 40 years old this May. With the time as it's gone by, have you lost hope at all with anything?
Some. And for years I would never say that. But yeah. At first, I would say until the last 5 years, I really thought that someday I would hear from her. And now I don't know that I will.
All right, so there are a lot of theories on what happened to Rachel. Some people believe that they had spotted her not too long after she disappeared. Her mom thinks that it is possible that she was taken to a big city like Denver, Wichita, or Kansas City. Now, there have not been any reports of Rachel going to the hospital or giving birth to that baby. No clues at all since she vanished. But if you happen to have information that can help find her, contact the Garden City Police Department at 620-276-1300.
Well, the families of 2 Kansas women share some good news. KAKE's Annette Lawless has new developments in today's Missing in Kansas.
Really the news that 2 families were waiting for. In November, 15-year-old Daisy Avalos was reported missing in Wichita, but her mother tells me that Daisy is safe and in her care, no longer considered a missing person. And the mother of Latasha Martinez tells me that her daughter is okay as well. Latasha was originally from Liberal, but she's been up in Kansas City for medical treatment. She was reported missing in early July. The 27-year-old is now in a Kansas City hospital, and we certainly wish her a swift recovery. If you have a missing person story that you would like for us to look into, or maybe you want to see some profiles that we featured here in our segment, we have a lot of them, head over to kake.com/missing. Reporting in the studio, Annette Lawless, KAKE News on your side. Hey, this morning we have a Missing in Kansas investigation. More than 600,000 people go missing every year in the U.S. And while many are found alive and well, there are a few cases that go unsolved. This morning, I dig into the nation's silent mass disaster, unidentified people, and one professor hoping to bring families closure. Tattoos, jewelry, a t-shirt, just some of the evidence left. 18 men, 5 women, 2 toddlers, 25 people whose remains have been found in the past 50 years, still unidentified in Kansas.
They will contact me and they will request my assistance. Sometimes it's a sheriff's office somewhere, or sometimes it's a police department.
Yet here in the heart of Wichita State's campus, one man is determined to piece together the puzzle.
I can look at gunshot wounds, I can look at cut marks, I can look at saw marks, I can look at fractures, I can give opinions on or insights or documentation speaking to a manner of death. Did they die from a homicide? Did they die from a suicide? Did they die from an accident?
In his 36 years in the field, experts like Pierre Janssen are a rare find. As he works to help police across the country, he's training students here at WSU.
These are cadaver collections, okay, and they're all donated remains.
Through time, victims' families have been generous, donating their loved ones' bodies to the school.
That can contribute in some very serious way to how to help others in the futures, how to teach new generations of learning how to do this work.
They even have a large plot of land dubbed Skeleton Acres, where students practice what it would be like on a real crime scene.
Once we get back there, I will analyze them, looking for any evidence of trauma and weathering.
This is a textile decomposition project, and this is the summer study.
I do love the idea of reconstructing crime scenes. It's fascinating.
I very much appreciate all the people I have worked with, worked for. I think it benefits us tremendously as a society.
The hope is that investigators like Janssen and others can partner to bring us closer to finding suspects and identifying people with few clues left behind. The work KAKE has done in Missing in Kansas is bringing national awareness to a worldwide epidemic. But the change still starts here, in Kansas. If you know of a missing person story, submit it today on kake.com/missing. Missing in Kansas, with reports every weekday, only on KAKE.